Solution Architect Amazon Web Service, dan kita ada Encik Hafiz Hassan, Public Sector Lead Amazon Web Service. Jadi tanpa melengahkan masa, saya serahkan stage ini kepada Encik Hafiz. Dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Cik Syamsul. Assalamualaikum. Saya Hafiz daripada AWS. Bersama saya hari ini adalah Shazli dan juga Surani daripada tim Public Sector in AWS. Terima kasih kepada pihak Perjasa dapat menjemput AWS ke session ini. So untuk presentation ini saya akan mulakan dengan sedikit sebanyak pengenalan mengenai kenapa organisation started to move to the cloud, and then saya akan beri sedikit gambaran berkenaan AWS Cloud, how it's being used in the government sector, and then saya akan pass to Shazli and Nani to run through some demo. So saya akan present mixed English dan Malay. So tapi kalau ada apa-apa soalan, feel free to ask in either language lah. Okay, sebelum saya go through the nak kena change the slides. Okay, sebelum saya go through the reasons why a lot of agencies today are migrating out. Izinkan saya ingin buat sedikit recap lah on the My Digital launch by our Prime Minister in February this year. As part of the announcement of My Digital, Amazon Web Services together with other cloud service provider has been empaneled by the Malaysian government to provide cloud services to the federal government. So what that means is that now government can start use the cloud and from any of these four empaneled cloud services. As part of the announcement juga, government ada announce about cloud first strategy di mana the so let out a target that 80% of public sector data will be migrated to the hybrid cloud by the end of 2022. Tak jauh tu, it's about another year lah, for a year and a half from now lah. Sekarang kita udah bulan 4 kan, at end of 2022, maknanya ujung tahun depan lah. So this is the right time for us to quickly ramp up on our knowledge on cloud as well as what cloud can do to the agencies. And kita from AWS is more than happy to share some of the use cases that other agencies in the world have actually used AWS when it comes to cloud as well as hybrid cloud. Alright, so untuk makluman, bila audience nampak logo AWS color biru kat sini, ini bermaksud ada soalan lah at the end of the session. Nanti Nani akan run through a quiz, series of questions. So bila you nampak dalam slides ni ada logo AWS color biru, maknanya soalan tu berkenaan jawapan dia dalam slides ni lah, just to give some hint. Alright, so this is the My Digital announcement. So now let's take a look at why organizations are choosing the cloud. Advantages of moving to the cloud, definitely number one is to actually to trade capital expense for variable expense. Kalau kita tengok sekarang when it comes to IT project, it requires a huge upfront capital investment, beli server, software dan sebagainya. But when it comes to cloud, you can trade off that capital expense for more like a variable expense. Maknanya you only pay based on what you actually use. The other factor that drive the adoption of cloud is increased speed and agility. Because with the cloud, you do not need to actually order servers or place order for servers and software upfront to do something. You just turn on the services as and when needed. Contohnya masa COVID-19 recently, quite a number of agencies can quickly roll out new applications, new capability on the cloud, on AWS, without having to wait months of procurement process to buy servers and software. Kalau kita tengok EPF, for example, dia launch iSinar, iLestari, very quick, very fast, and the performance is tak ada masalah lah. So actually those are two of the good example of COVID-19 related systems that have been launched on AWS to address the immediate need by the public to withdraw their money. The agency benefit massive from massive economies of scale. Apa maksud kita ialah bila when you run on cloud like AWS, for example, our data centers run globally. As we are able to reduce the operation of our data center, the cost of operating our data center, we are able to actually reduce the price of our services and pass that back in a form of price reduction to the customer. A lot of agencies because a lot of customers, especially in private sector today, they want to stop spending money on running and maintaining data centers, and that is also what drive them to move to the cloud, because they are able to not to fully retire data center, but at least to actually minimize more expansion on the data center. And for IT team macam kita ni, the hardest team to roll out new systems is to guess what's the right capacity. But with the cloud, you no longer need to guessing, because you can start small and grow as and when the applications require the environment to grow. And the other thing is about go global in minutes, because when it comes to cloud, the data centers are spread across the world. So maknanya when you want to roll out applications that are accessible from all parts of the world, you are able to distribute your content or applications throughout all our data centers globally. A good example macam kalau you tengok Netflix kan, Netflix kalau kita tengok laju je kan, that's because their content is distributed around all AWS infrastructure throughout the world, and some of the content actually are cached locally in Malaysia as well. So that's what we mean by going global in minutes. So these are the advantages of moving to the cloud. Kenapa public sector agencies these days are more and more attracted to go to the cloud? Number one is to actually, cloud presents the way to pay for way for innovation. For example, with the cloud, it is a lot more easier and a lot more cheaper to actually build new capabilities, right? For example, AI, machine learning, big data, and so on, because the cloud has those services ready to be used, and agencies can quickly start to build and experiment new capabilities as and when needed. And the other thing is, of course, cost savings, right? Because when it comes to cloud, you no longer need to actually invest on huge IT infrastructure as and when you want to experiment or start a new build a new capabilities. With the cloud is pretty much pay as you go type of model. And there are a lot of government agencies actually use the cloud to actually what you call it, roll out a world-changing kind of projects. Kalau zaman COVID-19 ni, you notice that the vaccine development was done very, very quickly. Reason is because the compute power to actually test the vaccine and all that pretty much run on the cloud. Pfizer, Moderna, they all basically use AWS to actually as part of the vaccine development. So that is one of the contributing factor of how and why the vaccine can be developed very, very quickly. So these are what drive public sector agencies to move to the cloud beyond just cost savings, right? The idea is to be able to come up with new capabilities quickly, experiment with new things quickly at a fraction of the traditional IT costs. And of course, the ultimate benefit will be the citizen, the business community out there. So when it comes to cloud, this is always the thing that we always look at, one way or two way door. Kalau kita tengok dalam gambar ni, nak terjun daripada kapal terbang ni kan, is a one way door. The moment you actually jump from the plane, there's no way of jumping back into the plane kan. So we want to avoid a one way door kind of situation when it comes to implementing a new IT project. Kalau kita tengok the traditional IT is more like a one way door. The moment you want to embark on a particular project, we will buy server software. But what if the project doesn't do as well as what we wanted to do, or maybe the project that cannot go live, right? So whatever investment has been made, there's no turning back, right? You can't send back the server or software and so on. So that is a good example of a one-way door. So with the cloud, we can avoid a one-way door situation where cloud give the opportunity to have an environment of what we call a two-way door. Maknanya kita boleh start small. If it works, then we can scale up quickly. But if it doesn't work, we can just stop. So we can always turn back in, masuk balik, right? So that's what we mean by two-way door. So the idea of providing two-way doors when it comes to IT project is to allow agencies to experiment new capabilities quickly and cheaper, right? In Amazon, we actually have this term called start small, go big, right? Fast, right? Start small and go big fast. If you fail fast as well and fail cheaper. So that's what we mean by cloud, right? So you can start small, you can go big if the application is successful. Tapi katakanlah the application start successful, you can just stop the services. At least you can stop quickly to minimize the cost implication and so on. So a cloud presents that two-way door capability. So sedikit introduction of who is AWS and what we do. Amazon Web Services or AWS is actually part of Amazon.com. Amazon, as we all know, kita start in 1994. Kita start dengan jual buku dulu online. That's how we all started. Our first e-commerce, Amazon.com e-commerce site actually is just about selling books online. And of course, kita dah evolve from selling books, we sell CDs. Now we actually do a lot of things, right? So these are some of the businesses under Amazon.com. We build drones for delivery and so on. For those who actually like to watch video streaming like Netflix and all that, Amazon also have Amazon Prime, where we do video streaming. We're also into the home entertainment business, devices and so on. And in the US, kita punya own retail outlets, yang physical retail, where it's called Amazon Go. Kenapa it's called Amazon Go is that you can just go in and out without having to bring your cash. Just bawa your handphone je. You get into the shop, ambil barang and keluar, and the system will automatically charge everything to your phone. So that's what we call advanced shopping experience that we just introduced in the US. AWS is the cloud computing of Amazon. So we actually started AWS way back in 2006 after we realized that more and more customers out there wanted to have IT delivered as a service over the internet. So that's where AWS is as part of the bigger Amazon business. So what sets us apart, like I mentioned just now, we started building the cloud and managing the cloud since year 2006, way before everybody else started to actually build the cloud. Back then, there was, masa zaman 2006 ni tak ada pun term cloud computing, right? So that's why we call it Amazon Web Services. But now, now everybody is using the term cloud computing. So we have built and managed cloud since 2006. We have more than 200 services to support any kind of cloud workload. It can be as basic as infrastructure as a service, like storage, servers, and all that, or to advanced services such as AI, machine learning, gaming services. And if you have satellite that is actually orbiting the Earth, you can actually send those satellite data back to Amazon ground station, right? So to that level, that level of services we have, right? In terms of innovating, we continue to add more capabilities, more features and services on a yearly basis. So customers automatically benefit from all these new features and services without having to apply patch, whatever not, as in the traditional IT world. So for example, last year alone, we actually add 2,700 plus new features and services on top of the 200 services that we have running in our cloud today. So a lot of people ask, dekat mana your data center, right? So we have data center scattered across 25 regions globally, and all those data centers are clustered together in what we call availability zones. In addition to data centers, we also have what we call points of presence, macam our caching server and all that, located across 29 countries, across 230 points of presence. form of price reduction to the customer. Macam we all pergi ke MyDean and all that, from time to time you see there's some price reduction on certain items. That's because MyDean able to reduce the operating cost on that particular items, right? So that's a retailer mindset. When you reduce your operating cost, you pass it back to the customer in the form of price reduction. So as of last month, we have reduced price 106 times since we launched in 2006. Kita work a lot with partners, especially in public sector, because we realize that in public sector, 90% of the time, the project is delivered by the system integrators, or what we call our partners. So we have thousands of partners worldwide, and 1,500 of them actually primarily focus in public sector. So this is a bit of introduction of AWS and where we are as part of the Amazon group of companies. So because we've been in the market longer than everyone else, so the services depth and breadth, the number of customers that we have, and so on. So Gartner has placed us as the leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 10th consecutive year. Right, so 10 tahun berturut-turut, alhamdulillah, we are the market leader. So hopefully we will continue to be the market leader for the next 10 years, inshallah. Right, and so that's where we are when it comes to market leadership and so on. So location of AWS data center. So AWS data centers are located across 25 regions worldwide. And these are locations of our data centers. If you look at the card Asia Pacific, we have data centers in Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo, and all that. Kita akan launch our data centers in Indonesia, Japan, and Spain in the next 12 to 24 months. Hopefully kita dapat launch Malaysia juga soon. Tapi yang tu kena tunggu official announcement by our CEO lah. Right? So you notice that kita tak panggil data center. We call our data centers as regions. Reason is because when we set up a data center, it's going to be clusters of data center. So that is why we call region instead of data center. Just to explain a bit about how we structure our data center. Okay, so let's look at how we cluster our data center, right? So for example, every region has what we call multiple availability zone. Availability zone is actually clusters of data centers lah, right? So bila kita cakap Singapore region, bermakna really high bandwidth network, so you can deploy your applications in one zone or multiple zone to address high availability as well as scalability and performance, right? And even if you don't deploy in multiple zones, you can still deploy in one zone. Even within one zone, we have one or more data centers, right? So that's how the entire infrastructure is built. So when you embark on AWS Cloud, you take benefit of this level of infrastructure. Is the same infrastructure used by global players such as Netflix, Salesforce. These are all AWS customers. If you use Zoom, Zoom also runs on AWS, right? So basically, if a government agency use our cloud, you are running on the same infrastructure as the one used by Zoom, Netflix, Salesforce, and so on, right? Yeah, so each of these data center, selalunya kalau saya buat presentation face to face, saya suka tanya soalan ni, tapi because yang ni webinar, I cannot ask question lah. So each of these data center has about 50,000 to 100,000 physical servers. So that's how large the setup of a region is, right? So you can imagine if one region has 3 zones, each zone has 3 data center. We are talking about, minimum of 450,000 physical servers that we need to actually deploy in each of these zone, right? Okay, so that's a bit about AWS region design. And all these region or data centers are located with each other through our own private network. It's a 100 gigabyte network. And except China, of course, we actually connect Singapore with the rest of the world and vice versa. So if you want to transfer data from one region to another, it's really, really fast because it's using our own private connectivity. Customer has the option to connect to AWS using internet, or you can have a direct connectivity between your office to into the AWS private network. We call it a direct connect. It's like you're having a lease line to our cloud. We have customers who actually use direct connect. One of it is Kazana National, who actually use AWS as their extended data center. They have a lease line direct to AWS data center. AWS Cloud, right? So for security as well as performance reason. So options are there. It's not a must to have a direct connectivity to AWS, but it's an option that government customers may want to consider if performance and security is the ultimate concern. Okay. So tadi saya sebut pasal cloud, right? So not everyone knows that when it comes to AWS, it doesn't mean that everything must run in AWS Cloud. There are options for customers to run AWS on-premise in your data center. So we call that AWS Outpost, right? So where we actually ship our servers yang kita pakai dekat cloud tu into the customer data center, and that server is called AWS Outpost. So customers have the option to run their traditional applications or their sensitive applications or low latency applications in their data center, and which then connect back to AWS to run a much more advanced or open or public data type of applications in AWS Cloud. So a good example, for example, is that for government, let's say you want to run your accounting system in country, or mesti kalau katakanlah MOH dia nak run dia punya PACS in country because of data sensitivity as well as network latency requirement, the agency has the option to use AWS Outpost in their data center, right? But that Outpost can also connect back to the AWS Cloud to run, a public-facing kind of applications that the public wants to see, right? So that is one deployment option. Another deployment option is local zone. AWS sekarang ni tengah roll out like what we call a mini data center or in major cities around the world. Macam dekat US dah start dah, LA, Chicago and all that, where they have, we call it AWS local zones. So we have data centers that provide customers with choice to run their applications nearest to their location. For low latency type of application. So imagine kalau KL nanti kita roll out, mungkin ada lah AWS local zone for KL, so people can use KL data center instead of running applications all the way back to Singapore or Indonesia and things like that. Right? So AWS local zones is something that we are building now across the world and across major cities around the world to run low latency type of applications, macam movie production, gaming, AI, machine learning, and so on. Now with 5G coming up, we are working with telcos to actually place our servers in telco data center to run 5G applications, right? Meaning that when developers want to build low latency, ultra low latency 5G applications, they have the option to run that 5G applications in a telco data center and still use AWS, right? Reason is because 5G need their very network latency, they're very, very low, and in terms so they need nearest so the device and the servers must be close to each other. So that is why we are putting out what we call AWS Wavelength, which is basically a set of servers that will run in telco data center to run 5G type of applications, IoT type of applications, and so on. So developers have a choice to run everything in the telco data center instead of running all the way back to AWS Cloud. Right? So another deployment option is AWS Node. AWS Node is like our devices. They're macam, it's a device, it's an appliance where you can actually run, store data or even run some compute capability locally without having connection, direct connection back to the cloud. For example, if let's say shipping applications atas kapal kan, so you want to collect data on board a ship, and of course the ship doesn't have constant connectivity to the internet. You can still process the data locally on the ship, and then once once the ship has docked and has connectivity to the internet, then we can synchronize the data back. So we have quite a number of snow devices, snowball, edge lah, snow cone, macam-macam snow lah. But basically these are like a mini servers that you can use it and place it in your branch office or in a remote location somewhere that do not require internet connectivity back to the cloud. Right? So these are the deployment options that not everyone knows about AWS. Everybody thought that AWS is all about cloud. Actually, it's more than that. Right? So they run locally, run in your data center, and we are building up what we call local zone in major cities around the world so that people can use build applications that run within the country nearest to their location and so on. And of course, with 5G coming up, kita will work with telco to place our servers in telco data center for 5G type of applications. Right? So from a customer point of view, when you want to deploy applications, you have a lot of choice. There are applications that best run on the cloud. There are applications that best run on-premise. So customer now have choice with AWS. Right? Yeah, so that's AWS deployment options. Ada icon biru ni, nanti ada soalan ni akan tanya on this particular site. Okay, so I talked about 200 plus services just now. So there are many services. So the idea is that when these services, what it means is that it's like building blocks. Right? It's like Lego blocks, right? Kalau kita tengok traditional IT world, when you want to deploy a portal, for example, you buy a full-blown portal software, tapi kita end up mungkin guna 60 or 50% of the total software capability. But with the cloud, we break that into small pieces we call services that you then assemble to build a solution that suits your requirement. So we internally call this like a Lego blocks lah, where you assemble to make up a car, assemble the blocks to build a house and things like that. Right? Same goes with the cloud. You assemble all these building blocks to build a solution, right? For example, let's say you want to build a solution, a big data solutions that consume data from IoT devices. So it can be a combination of data warehouse, IoT service, Elasticsearch service, plus some storage service and things like that. And once you assemble everything, then you start to build the applications. And in terms of charges, you are only charged based on the services that you consume. Right, so that's the whole idea about cloud, right? So with so that's a gambaran yang agak tinggi lah on how does all these services look like. So who are the customers of AWS? So from these slides, from the icons, logos that you see here, some of these are well-known companies, such as Netflix, they run on AWS, Salesforce, a lot of agency, private sector use Salesforce for their CRM or marketing and so on. Salesforce actually runs on AWS. So, and we also have highly regulated industry customers such as Capital One, banking customer that also use AWS to run their core banking. Yeah, so these are some of the major names or major brands that they use AWS today. So, and when it comes to government, worldwide, we have more than 7,500 government agencies that are already running on AWS. We have quite a number in Malaysia as well, and we hope to have more soon. In terms of universities or education institutions, a lot of them actually run in the cloud because they are able to, especially these days they are able to quickly roll out e-learning applications and so on. Non-profit organizations, which we consider as part of public sector, majority of them use cloud because they are non-profit. They do not want to buy servers and software, so they use the cloud, right? So one of the major users of AWS in the public sector actually come from non-profit organizations. So who are the government customers we have worldwide? Many names there. The most interesting one, most recently, just want to share is NASA. Kan NASA baru-baru ni ada launch a rover called Perseverance to Mars. and they actually pump the images back. So when you go to YouTube, you can watch the video, you can go to NASA website, you can view all the images that actually transferred by the rover back to Earth. So the platform of that storing and rendering all those images actually runs on AWS. In Malaysia, we have quite a number of public sector customers who are already using AWS. One of the major one is Selangor State. Smart Selangor basically use AWS for their online payment, their big data, their smart city applications, and they are launching a hybrid cloud data center very, very soon that also run on AWS. Last year with COVID-19, we have quite a number of agencies that connected to AWS as well. So those are some of the names that are public sector customers that are on AWS today. So how organizations using AWS today? What we see in Malaysia public sector today, these are the trends that drive agencies to actually use cloud. We see agencies who actually explore or started to use AWS to handle big data. We have one regulator who actually pump their data into AWS to detect fraud, right? To do fraud analysis. For example, detecting money flowing out from Malaysia. What's the purpose of that money flowing out? Is it genuine fund transfer or is it terrorist funding, right? So we are able to quickly come up. They are able to quickly come up with that fraud because they are able to experiment all the different kinds of services that we have in AWS. AI and machine learning, we see a lot of demand coming in this area as well. In fact, sekejap lagi, Shazli and Nani will show the type of AI and machine learning capability that agencies can quickly introduce on cloud in a matter of weeks instead of months or years. Blockchain is another good use case or trend that drive public sector in Malaysia moving towards cloud. In Malaysia today, we have two agencies. They are using our blockchain. One agency use it to issue certificates to make sure that those certificates are genuine and not tampered, and blockchain is the best solution for that. And the other agency actually used blockchain to actually manage the supply and demand kind of tracking. And yeah, so these are some of those trends that drive Malaysian public sector towards the cloud. This is based on our conversation with the customers and so on. Okay, before I pass to Shazli and Nani, just want to quickly do... Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Kita tinggal kurang 30 minit lagi.
Okay, tak apa. Saya mau the second last slide. So the popular cloud use cases in the public sector. So we see agencies, most public sector agencies started to use cloud for development and testing purpose. And of course, majority of agencies today use cloud to address this kind of fluctuating or spiky kind of applications or seasonal type of applications. Kalau kita tengok in education sector, we have customer who actually use our cloud to quickly roll out learning management system during COVID-19 without having to invest huge amount of fund on IT infrastructure. Last year, this is okay. I can't share the customer name again yet because we are still in a process of working on the public case study. We have an agency who actually launched their portal on AWS to handle that seasonal applications just for that particular year. So we see a lot of agencies started to look into cloud when it comes to fluctuating part-time and cyclical online services type of workload. We see more and more demand coming in on big data as well as AI and machine learning. We also noticed that quite a number of agencies today do not have disaster recovery. So cloud is one way to actually quickly and cost effectively roll out disaster recovery, because with the cloud, you do not need to buy a server to run your DRC site, right? You just replicate your data and you only pay for the DR when the DR happens. or when you do a DR drill. Most of the time, the server will not be running, so you don't get charged. So a lot of agencies in other parts of the world already started to use cloud as a DR instead of investing on a huge data center. Storage is another good example of cloud use case because storage in the cloud is a lot cheaper than storage on premise. Because in the cloud you have different level of storage. That you can have storage for archiving, storage for retrieval, and so on. So it depends on the type of data that you use. So you can pick and choose what storage service that's suitable to your use case. So yeah, I want to pass to Shazli and Nani to actually demo two cloud use cases. The first one that they will demo is how you can actually use Amazon Connect, which is one of our cloud service to build a call center or to deploy a call center. And we also, as part of the call center, we also add capabilities to actually convert the speech or the voice of the customer who call into text, so speech to text translation. And we also can translate from English to Malay. And then from that translation, we also use a service to do sentiment analysis. So all those different kind of services will be demoed shortly by Shazli, and is all built-in services. It's not something that developers need to build from scratch, right? Second example, second use case that Shazli will demo is what we call an NLP service, where we read clinical notes. Kan doktor dia banyak buat clinical notes, and only doctors understand their clinical notes. So what Amazon has done is that we have built this service called Amazon Comprehend Medical, where we train our machine to understand doctor's notes, right? Contohnya YO means year old. So if doctor write 49YO tu bermakna 49-year-old. So our machine learning is able to understand doctor's clinical notes and convert that into a proper medical text or health data that you can use for reporting, analysis purpose, and so on. So I will pass to Shazli and Nani to do the demo.
Assalamualaikum semua. I think I can Tuan MC boleh pass the...
I stop sharing my... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Assalamualaikum semua. So my name is Shazli. So I will do a demo for our connector services lah. So if you look at the screen, there's actually 4 services which are being displayed here. Satu is Amazon Connect. Amazon Connect is our cloud-based call center. So basically you don't need to create macam phone ke office space. So basically you just have to book a phone number and you just follow user and dapat call center lah. The next is sentiment analysis. So basically selalunya when you call center, we want to know how satisfied the customer is lah. So basically here we are displaying it as an icon lah, smiley face too happy and not so smiley is not happy lah. Then we have transcribe. So transcribe too is from voice to text. So it will actually whatever you speak, it will actually understand and convert it into text, and then translate lah. So basically with real-time translation, it would try to translate this on the fly lah. So I will ask Puan Suryani to log a call and we will simulate a call lah. So Nani, can you?
Okay, baik, saya call sekarang.
Ya. Yeah. So basically what it is, this number is one you can just purchase off. Malaysian number pun available. You just need to put your name and your address and the company address, and then we'll get a Malaysian number lah. So sekarang dapat the call dia. So I will accept it. So right now Nani is going to talk lah with the help desk.
Hello, I am not satisfied with your services. I would like my money back.
So bila call, so kadang-kadang it takes a while untuk the things basically lah. So dia kata not serious, I like my money back. So dapatlah transcribe. So kalau tengok muka ni dia marah lah. That means it knows this is not a positive comment, it's a negative comment. So this is something boleh escalate to the management lah, and things like that. And then if you see the translation, actually tadi tengok translation like we didn't have to like main report kan. So basically dia translated automatically lah. Hello, saya tidak puas hati dengan point anda, saya ingin wang saya kembali. So basically dari sini kita tahulah it is apalah. So kalau nak buat ke certain language boleh, nak ke Spanish ke apa-apa language boleh. So basically with this untuk mungkin untuk help desk kepada pihak kerajaan, then we can have this as a quick way to gauge the customer. And also all this conversations is logged lah, so boleh audit after later on lah. Okay. So in terms, so this is the first demonstration. So it's actually 4 dalam 1 lah for demos in one. The next is comprehend. So why comprehend is important or sentiment analysis, because kadang-kadang ni we have so many notes. So kalau if we have one, let's just say one medical punya report, it is you have to one time, but why you have hundreds or thousands, how do we do it? So basically we have complement to understand things macam entities atau text lah. So in here we actually make comprehend medical. Why we did this is because kita nampak there is a big demand for medical analysis. So macam ni lah doktor kata this PT ni, dia ni PT 87YO woman, high school teacher boleh lah. Tapi tengok ni HPI, sleeping trouble, dosage of clonidine, severe rash, meds is Vyvanse 50, clonidine, and then HEANT lah. So basically there's a lot of medical jargon yang kalau orang biasa tak faham, tapi for a medical practitioner dia boleh faham lah. Okay, so basically if we do this, kalau kita besarkan sikit kan, so this is what the doctor say lah, follow up the schedule. So how do you make sense of it? Kita pergi bawah, just analyze. Actually dah analyze dah, but we analyze again. So if you can see what the entities are. So macam ni kita tahu 87-year-old, kita tahu is actually an age. Profession is high school teacher. Status post, and then overlap cardiac catheterization, that means the procedure name. Dia pernah buat a cardiac punya procedure lah. Lepas tu palpitation symptom lah, kita jantung ada masalah kan, and chest pressure. And then we can see all the medical dosage lah, macam this the medical, what is the dosage, what is the route, and then what are the organs, this is system organ, and then lung scale lah. So kita nampak lah from that doctor punya notes, we can see that there is a lot of things that is there and we can make sense of it lah. Then we can have all these concepts, what the concepts are based on the thesaurus, what the CM concept is lah. Okay, so basically in terms of what you can see is all macam ni lah, corona, artery disease, what are the inferred concepts, and then what the atrial fibrillation, what could be the problem there lah. So if you go back to entities, we can get all this data and then nak masuk dalam a database or something, then you can actually have this lah. So with this particular report, ada all this data yang boleh masuk kat your data warehouse atau data lake lah for this. Okay. So one this, katakanlah this another doctor punya transcript, so kita buat lagi banyak sikit lah. So I just have one here. So we analyze lah. So basically this is what we have here. So physical exam well developed, problem blood pressure low, next up to sugar. So we analyze this. So lama sikit lah pasal dia punya doktor ni dia panjang sikit. So basically we know lah, name is Monica Rati, address is this one, diagnosis diabetic lah, diabetes mellitus, also ada hypertension, there's a benign growth somewhere there lah, and then what is the medication dia ambil, this prevenient, the dosage 20 mg and so forth lah. So in terms of understanding all this medical punya information, AWS Comprehend can extract it automatically, and then for a clinical use case is we can have much more better diagnosis lah for the user. Dan kalau nak masuk and populate inside your medical database, boleh dapat semua ni lah. So all this you can be populated in your data warehouse, and then you can make your inference lah. Mungkin ada satu wabak penyakit yang baru yang akan datang lah. Okay. So basically these are the two demos yang saya ada sekarang lah. Jadi I will pass this to Puan Surani lah untuk sesi quiz ya.
Okey, terima kasih Cik Shazli. Assalamualaikum semua. Lepas ni kita ada quiz. Let me upload for sharingnya dulu ya. Can you see the screen now? Belum.
Belum.
Belum lagi ya Puan.
Okay.
Okey.
Now okay. Okay. So untuk sesi quiz kita ni, kita try dulu. Cik Samsul dengan Cik Fairuz akan bantu Nani, in which bila ada soalan, kita akan minta sesiapa yang tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang boleh jawab soalan tu untuk jawab soalan by raising hands. Kita ada button for raising hands. And then siapa yang raise hand yang pertama tu akan dibawa ke front stage and then boleh answer the question lah. Siapa-siapa yang jawab betul, nanti saya nak minta nama, agensi dan juga phone number tuan atau puan. Nanti kami akan bagi hadiah lah. Kita akan hantar gift to you lah. So I think Cik Samsul, kita try satu soalan sampel boleh? Sebelum start quiz.
Boleh.
Boleh
Siapa yang raise hand tu kita akan invite to stage lah.
Okey, kita try soalan sampel. Tapi soalan ni bukan soalan quiz AWS. Sampel dululah, sampel. Bilakah tarikh Milofa dan Piyuris bernikah?
Yang tu sensitif tu.
Ada tak? Okey, tapi function tu sebab because I'm on sharing screen, so I tak nampak whether that features is actually working or not. Tapi so far okey tak, Cik Fairuz? Okey tak, Cik Samsul, so far?
So far okay.
Okey, boleh Okey. So kita start dengan question pertama lah.
Okay.
Since soalan tu tak ada orang nak jawab lagi tadi.
Ada. Nak cuba seorang ada.
Ada. Okey. Ada, okey. Okey, so kita proceed dengan soalan pertama ke macam mana, Cik Faris? Boleh?
Boleh.
Boleh. Okay. Question number 1. What is the targeted percentage for migration of public data to hybrid cloud system by the end of year 2022? This is actually through the government cloud first strategy as announced by Yang Amat Berhormat Prime Minister during the launch of My Digital Initiative on 19 February 2021. So I think this is yang first kali Hafiz punya slide tu.
Okay.
Ada siapa boleh jawab tak? Berapa persen?
Okay, kita ada Encik Khairul.
Okay, silakan. Cik Karol, macam mana jawapan untuk nombor 1 ni, Cik Karol?
Hello, ya, 80%.
Hello. Hai, Cik Karol.
Hello, 80%.
Tak dengar sangat lah Cik Karol jawapan dia, sorry.
80%.
80%, okay, good. Cik Karol, boleh Nani tahu Cik Karol daripada agensi mana?
Mampu.
Cik Karol mampu, okay. So, nanti lepas ni saya get in touch dengan Cik Karol lah ya. Okay, terima kasih Cik Karol. Okay, kita betul. Cik Karol jawapannya tepat, which is actually 80%. So, by 80, the targeted percentage for migration for public data in year 2022, tahun 2022 ialah 80%. Kita move on to the second question. Please share 2 advantages of moving to cloud. So any 2 advantages of moving to cloud.
Okay, kita ada daripada Puan Mazwin.
Silakan Puan Mazwin.
Hai.
Puan Mazwin daripada mana?
Saya daripada bahagian hal ehwal undang-undang.
Okey, ceria suara Puan Mazlin.
Excited sebenarnya jawab. Saya dah menang ni, saya pernah kena menang juga.
Okey, Cik Puan Mazlin silakan jawapannya.
Okay, satu is stop guessing capacity.
Betul, absolutely.
Lagi satu, go global in minutes.
Yes.
Ah,
Betul Puan Mazlin, tepat. On point dan tepat.
Begitu.
Tahniah.
Silakan Pak Mazrin. Nanti kami get in touch dengan Pak Mazrin ya for the gift.
Okay.
Thank you Pak Mazrin. Thanks. Okay, kita go to the next question. Question number 3. Okay, AWS was launched and has been building and managing cloud since which year? So, any takers for
Okey,
this?
kita ada Puan Alia.
Puan Alia. Okay, silakan Puan Alia. Puan Alia daripada mana Puan Alia?
Saya daripada Cloud Connect.
Cloud Connect, okay.
Okay, jawapan dia since 2006.
Okay, Puan Alia. Bagus, tepat sekali. Kena salam dengan anak dia Puan Alia. Okay, alright. Thank you. Yes, year 2006. Let's move to the next question. Question number 4. Okay. Since AWS launched in 2006, how many price reductions have we done as of 15 March 2021?
Okey, kita ada Siti Ruzaimah daripada Mampu.
Okay, boleh? Okay. Puan Siti Ruzaimah ya? Hai Puan. Jawapannya Puan?
Hello, Puan Siti.
Hai Puan Siti.
Lost connection. Puan Siti?
Oh, mungkin line drop kot.
Kita tunggu sebentar.
Okay, boleh.
Mungkin boleh type.
Hello, drop Puan Lian.
Ya Puan? Mendengar tadi kan 106, betul kan? Okay Puan Siti, we can hear you 106 kan? Tadi Puan cakap.
Okey.
Terima kasih Puan. Hafiz cakap I macam kuis radio lah.
DJ radio. Okay, we can go to the next, please.
Okay, next question.
Suara Cik Syamsul pun macam DJ punya. Okay tak? Kau terus.
Saya rasa dia punya speaker ni.
Encik Afi lagi terhebat.
Okay, so in August last year, Gartner recognized AWS as a cloud leader for how many consecutive years? I think Hafiz just now ada mention this again. Dia dah repeat 2 kali lah on this. So untuk berapa kali berturut-turut?
Okay, kita ada Wan Syuhaida daripada Bless.
Daripada mana? Sorry, Puan Wan?
Wan Syuhaida.
Wan Syuhaida. Okay.
Dia hilang.
Puan Wan Syuhaida tengah call in balik ke?
Entah, dia hilang daripada sini. Okay, kita pergi ke next ni lah.
Boleh?
Okay, orang yang sama. Okay,
boleh kan kalau 2 kali jawab kan?
Alah.
Dah tak ada.
Boleh Puan, boleh.
Okay 10.
Boleh lah.
Okay Puan, got it. Betul Puan, 10 tahun berturut-turut. Alhamdulillah.
Tahniah.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Semoga banyak tahun yang akan datang lagi. Okay, alright. Puan Mazrin tadi kan. Okay, kita pergi ke soalan yang seterusnya, number 6. So how many AWS geographical regions are there globally?
Okay, kita ada Cik Chandran Vani daripada Jabatan Meteorologi. Cik Chandran.
Okay, boleh? Silakan Mr. Chandran.
Dia dah type the answer dah.
Dah. Macam mana jawapan dia? Saya sharing my
betul. Betul. Yep.
Thank you Mr. Chandran. You got it right. We'll get in touch with you, okay? Okay, now it's actually 25 regions. And let's go into question number 7. How many AWS availability zones are there globally?
Okey, kita ada Puan Linda Maswana.
Puan Linda Maswana. Okey. Puan Linda daripada mana, Puan? Tak dengar lah, Puan.
Daripada SPRM.
Oh, SPRM kan?
SPRM, okey. Okey, Puan Linda daripada SPRM. Apa jawapan dia, Puan?
80.
Betul, Puan. Tepat. Thank you, Puan Linda. Nanti kita get in touch. Okay, next. 80. Puan Linda dah jawab tadi. Betul. So, we go into the next slide. Okay, ini question number 8. Question number 8 ialah pilihan sama ada answer A atau answer B. Jawapan A atau jawapan B. Soalannya, how many availability zones are there in each region? So you can choose either answer A or answer B. So answer A ialah a region is a physical location in the world where we have one availability zone.
Okey, kita ada Encik Khairul daripada IT Mampu.
Okey. Cik Fairuz. Silakan Cik Fairuz.
Cik Khairul.
Kak Khairul, Cik Khairul. Okey, silakan Cik Khairul.
Saya pilih B.
B. Betul Cik Khairul, B jawapan dia. Cik Khairul ni sama tak yang dengan soalan pertama tadi?
Orang yang sama rasanya.
Okey, sebab nanti nak hantar hadiah senang. Okey, betul Cik Khairul, thank you very much. B is the answer, which is a region is a physical location in the world where we have multiple availability zones, yeah? Okay, now, let's go into question number 9. Question number 9 ialah, please name 2 types of AWS deployment options.
Okay, siapa nak jawab?
Ada siapa-siapa nak jawab?
Okey, kita ada
ini slides yang ada region, outpost apa semua tu.
Kita ada Encik Khairul.
Tolong bagi.
Hafiz dah tolong bagi jawapan. Okay, outpost. Lepas tu
kita ada yang
ada siapa-siapa nak jawab
ada
tak?
Encik Khairul.
Cik Samson nak jawab.
Kita ada Cik Chandra.
Cik Chandra, okay. Cik Chandra, is it from Jabatan Meteorologi? Okay. Sila jawab Cik Chandra.
Dia
Hi Mr. Chandra. Dah type.
Outpost dengan snow dia kata.
Dia dah type lah.
Okay, so betul.
Betul.
Thank you Mr. Chandra. You got it right. The answer that you provide lah outpost and snow. Okay, this is the last question. Nombor 10. Please name 2 popular cloud use cases stream in the public sector. Tadi Hafiz kata trend public sector tu ada beberapa trend kan? Boleh namakan 2 popular trend dalam public sector.
Kita ada Siti Ruzaimah daripada Siti Ruzaimah.
Hello.
Puan Siti Ruzaimah.
Hi, hello.
Puan, Assalamualaikum.
Hi, boleh dengar?
Boleh.
Boleh? Jelas
Okay.
Puan?
Alright, okay. Development and test, storage, disaster recovery, big data and analytics, AI and machine learning.
Ui Puan, terbaik. Banyak
Yes. Baru-baru kan nak jawab. Okay.
Okay Puan, you are right. You actually name quite a number of popular trend. Terima kasih Puan Ruzaimah. Puan Ruzaimah daripada mana tadi?
Mampu kan?
Mampu ya? Mampu, okay. I guess with that, we have finished our quiz. All the 10 questions are answered. Terima kasih banyak-banyak tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Semoga kita berjumpa lagi. Hafiz, is there anything else that you want to finish this off with? Please do.
Okay. Ni, so bagi pihak AWS saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasihlah kepada pihak PERJASA memberi peluang pada AWS untuk buat pembentangan dan juga participate di this event. Kita pun habis on time ni, 12.30.
Yes.
Okay, terima kasih.
Terima kasih semua.
Okey. Terima kasih. Jadi kita telah selesai
Assalamualaikum.
sesi teknologi update yang pertama. Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih kepada semua pemetang dari AWS atas pembentangan, demonstrasi, kuis berkenaan teknologi yang dibawakan kali ini. Dan terima kasih juga kepada semua yang menyertai sesi ini yang dibawakan secara langsung dan maya menerusi platform Meet. Kita harap semoga perkongsian ini dapat memberi manfaat dan nilai tambah pada kita. Dan mohon maaf atas kekurangan yang berlaku sepanjang sesi ini berlangsung. Jadi sekian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Dua setengah apa? Ya.
Okey, ngam. 1 jam.
Okey, terima kasih semua.